Hey everybody, it's Kaylee. I am back with another What Sold From Last Week video. In today's video, I'm going to share my sales numbers with you, as well as some select items that you might want to look for that would probably also sell if you found them at your local thrift store. So we're just going to dive right in. Sales continue to be very up and down. Last week was kind of a slow sales week, but still had some really decent sales considering the time of the year that we're in.
All right, so all the sales that you see here on this screen happened between May 21st through the 27th. I'm going to go quickly through this as I just recently learned that some of you guys actually skip through this part. So I don't know if maybe I should just show it on the screen and then move on, but gross item sales for anyone that's just listening and not actually viewing the screen for me was $5,782.59. I sold a total of 220 items. On eBay, I sold 132. On Poshmark, I sold 88. Gross sales on eBay after shipping costs were right around $3,500, and on Poshmark, they were almost $2,300. So big split there. But average sale price actually about the same for the items on eBay and Poshmark. I was right around a little over a $26 just item average sale price. So it's cool to see that Poshmark is, competing with eBay in that way, even though we're not selling as many items over there. It's still a really good split. So gonna dive into the sales now. We're gonna start with eBay. This first one is something I pick up during all times of the year, even if we're in the dead of summer, because I know it always performs really well year after year. And they're fairly easy to come across. It is a J. Crew stadium cloth coat. Stadium cloth is a specific type of fabric, and it'll sometimes also say Nello Gori on it. This is what you want to look for in both men's and women's. I think I've only found it in women's. I'm not even sure if they made it in men's, but if I found it, period, I would get it. This is a really nice wool coat. This was called a cocoon coat. Size 8, so pretty decent size. I paid up for this. I paid $8.99, listed for around $85, and it quickly sold, even in warm weather, for an offer of $72.15, which is an offer that I sent to my watchers. So definitely want to be on the lookout for that. And I personally pick it up even in warmer weather. Next up is an item that I believe I purchased from another reseller out of her death pile. And I think there's actually another Adidas piece once we get to the Poshmark stuff from hers that sold as well. I don't normally pick up Adidas. It is not a brand I recommend getting. However, this was a vintage velvet or velour tracksuit. And you can see it's got a lot of color blocking. Honestly, if I would have came across this at a thrift store prior to meeting up with her, I probably would have just passed by this. Nikki's actually the one that did the comp on this, and I learned that there are still some Adidas stuff out there that are worth getting, but I believe they all look like this. So might want to do a double check if you do come across something like this, because in the past I was skipping on all Adidas items just because they weren't performing well for me. I paid $5 for this. We listed for around $80, and it sold on an offer to watcher for $67.95. This is a newer brand to me. It is Reese or Reyes. I think it's Reese. It is a very high-end brand. I've recently come across quite a few of these pieces. Tops, dresses. They also make men's stuff, which can also do well. Very high-end brand. There's not a lot of information yet, in my opinion, on eBay solds about them, but I'm able to find a lot more on Poshmark. Regardless, if I can buy this brand at a lower cost, it is definitely something I'm going to get. This was an ivory dress with a belted tie front. The belt did have some discoloration, which we did note. And one great thing about this brand, which it's funny I'm showing you this because we failed to put it in the title, but the style name is usually on the inside tag. So see how it says Darcy here? So this is the Darcy dress. Still sold just fine without it, but a tip for you if you guys come across that, just so you can better comp it to see if you have a good item. I paid $8.99 for this, so a little bit up for it, and we listed it for around $65. It ended up selling on an offer to watcher for $55.20, which amazing return on investment. 9 and 255, can't beat that. Next up is a brand that I definitely recommend you pick up. It is CP Shades. This brand's kind of unassuming. It is the tag. I pick up, vintage and newer CP shades, but I think if you were to come across this, might not be something you look at, so I wanted to share it with you. They make a lot of, in my opinion, like hippie type stuff. They use really nice materials. This is a rayon textured maxi skirt, and not much to say about this. Again, if you were to see this, you might pass right over it, but their stuff can sell for quite a bit depending on what it is and what the material is. I actually got this in wholesale, and I paid just over $5 for it. This we listed around $65. It sold on an offer to watcher for $55.19. So 10 timesing money on that. And this is definitely a brand that you can do that with. I come across it fairly often, maybe once every couple of months. But you figure with higher end brands like that it's not going to be as often, but it's often enough. I figured I would show you guys. Next up is a brand I cannot remember. I think actually this brand does pretty well. Custo Barcelona. This is a cotton silk lyocell linen item, but regardless, I probably would have picked this dress up regardless of brand, just for the material and the pattern. If you guys see anything wacky like this where there's mixed prints, it almost looks handmade, might be worth looking into that brand and that item. Very big market for it. I paid around $5 for this. We listed for $55 and we sold it on an offer for $46.65. And I'm always on the hunt. If I see anything super artsy or hippie-ish like this, I always do a comp. Okay, next up is a brand. If you guys were following along those shorts that I did, I found up like 10 exclusively Masuk blazers at one location, and yeah, you can't beat that, guys. Exclusively Masuk blazers. These knit jackets perform so well. They usually sell for me around $50, and I just did a blanket $50. I didn't try to I guess squeeze more money out of some pieces based on color or anything like that. And I'm glad I did, because they've all been selling. I think that was the right price for them. I only paid $4.99 for every single one of them. I sold this one this week. We've been selling them, but I'm not sure if I've shown them in all the What Sold videos, but we have been selling pretty much all of those. This is one that sold. It is just an ivory knit blazer, and in general, like knit blazers in all brands seem to be performing really well, so I'd keep your eye out for that category. This was also a size extra large, which I think helped it. And I also sold this one, which I also paid $4.99 for. And like I said, these were each listed for $50. Next up is a category that performs really well for me. It is Ralph Lauren and pretty much any of their lines with exception to chaps, flag sweaters. So I've sold a lot of these, usually for around $40. Sometimes, depending on what the flag graphic is, I can get up to $75. But in general, I would say I can usually sell them for about $40. This one actually was a little bit shrunken. It was an older label polo jeans item. Ribbed women's size medium. If you find the men's, they definitely perform better. And I picked this up for $4.49. We listed for $39.88 and it sold for our full asking price. Next up is a brand of comfort shoes that I do love getting. It is Dansko. I've never seen anything like this before. I didn't know they made stuff like this. These are some chunky, like very mature looking leather sandals, and I was like, oh, these are kind of like Y2K. These will probably do well, plus they're leather. They got that chunky heel, or I guess platform chunky heel. I paid $6.99 for these. They sold extremely quickly for my full asking price, like lightning speed, at $39.88. So 7 into 40. I would definitely, even if a Dansko style looks older, as long as it's on trend, which this definitely was, consider picking it up because it might be $40. All right, next up is a category in a brand that I have been experimenting with, and they are just office dresses. I've been experimenting with them in Calvin Klein, J. Crew. I'm sure there's some other ones, but specifically Calvin Klein and J. Crew I'm dealing with right now. And this one was new with tags, and it was a size 12, so that was kind of a definite yes. But I've also been picking up pre-owned ones and experimenting with how those sell, as well as some larger sizes. And so far, so good. Been doing pretty well, and was a category that I used to pass on. But this Calvin Klein stuff retails for a lot, so I figured I should be able to, find a sweet spot for the pre-owned stuff and be able to sell it on the resale market. This I actually got in wholesale. I paid just over $5 for it. We listed for $39.93 and it sold for our full asking price. So if you're somebody that wants to dive into that category, I have found Calvin Klein to be a pretty good one. Next up is J. Jill. We try to stick to plus sizes in this brand. However, I will factor stack if I can, even if it's not plus size. So this is a size large, so still pretty decent size. It was new with tags. You can see it retailed for $80. This was a linen black dress, which we listed for $39.88. It sold for full asking price, and I originally paid $4.99 for it. Next up, more linen stuff. Linen is probably all you're going to see on the What Sold videos from now on, just because very popular material during this time of the year. It's a great factor to increase value in just about any item. This is J. Crew. This is a size 10. We found it new with tags. We were able to look up the style number and everything pretty easily. Plus they were joggers, another great factor in an item. These are called the Seaside joggers in a size 10. And we picked them up for $2, and they ended up selling for our full asking price of $39.94. Just like Calvin Klein, J. Crew is something that I know retails for a lot, and so I'm trying to figure out this brand and figure out what sells. This is definitely a piece that sells, and even if I would have found these not new with tags, I probably could have sold them for around $25 to $30. So I'm going to be on the lookout for stuff like this in J. Crew in the future. Here's another pair of joggers. These are the brand Intimately Free People, and size extra small, but they were satin joggers. Kind of had that drop, I guess it's called a drop crotch. They're like harem pants. So slouchy, which is really in right now. Floral, lots of great stuff going for it. I got this in wholesale for just over $5. We listed it for around $40, and it ended up selling pretty quickly for an offer to watcher of $33.90. Again, guys, just joggers in general, I'd keep your eye out for. Here's another category that performs really well for us during this time of the year. They are men's silk button-ups. There's just a few brands that do well in this category, and so that's really easy to remember. Tommy Bahama men's silk button-ups and Nat Nast. That's pretty much what we look for. And they can be really good bread and butter. So this is a Nat Nast extra, extra large American fit silk button-up shirt. We picked this up for $2.50. We listed for $34.88. It sold very quickly for our full asking price. Anything else in this brand, I would just skip. I haven't had luck with literally anything else, but the silk shirts do well. Here's another brand in dresses that perform really well for us, especially in larger sizes. This is a Talbot's 3X dress. Nice kind of chain rope print kind of a dress. We picked up for $4.99, listed for about $35. It sold for $29.70, and these can be really great bread and butters as well. Here's a brand that I come across fairly often, and if you don't know this brand, I would definitely memorize it. You guys can check comps for it. It's really good. It is Frank and Eileen. This brand is also very unassuming. It is pretty plain. It's just a button-up shirt, but they are really good classic staples is why people like them. This one was called the Silvio shirt in a size extra small. We paid $4.99. It sold for a full asking price of $34.88. Some people are telling me I got to price these up like way higher. We are specifically searching the style. And that's what and the size, sorry, the style with the size. And this is the information that I'm getting. This is how much it's telling me a size extra small Silvio button-up shirt is selling for on eBay, and it sold quickly. So I will consider larger sizes in other styles, possibly listing for much higher. But everybody's like, you have to list that for at least $60. That's just not what the comps are telling me based on the sizes and the styles I have. So really do your research on that. If you want to price it higher and sit on it, you might be able to get that price, but I'm all about the quick flip. But Frank and Eileen in general, lots of great pieces, and some in different styles and sizes I have sold for $50 to $60. But they really great brand. I pick up just about everything in it. Next up is a brand in swimsuits that has been performing really well for us. It is Trina Turk. So if you guys come across this, might be worth getting in both one pieces and two pieces. This is a pre-owned two-piece swimsuit Takini. We paid $5 and we listed it for around $35. It ended up selling on an offer for $29.70. This was also a pretty quick flip. Moving on to some Poshmark items. This was a surprising find and I'm happy to share it with you. I've talked about in the past novelty print sweaters doing really well in just basic mall brands, but apparently button-up shirt novelties can perform good as well. This is a J. Crew women's linen top in a crab print, and so I basically just looked up J. Crew linen crab shirt and did a comp on it, and they were performing extremely well. I was really surprised. I actually paid $6.99 for this. $6.99 for a pre-owned top's a lot for me, but we ended up selling it very quickly on Poshmark for $37. So I'm glad that I did. Again, this is pre-owned. It's a size 4, so it's even a smaller size, but it's linen and it's novelty print. So I would definitely keep your eye out for novelty print stuff and consider looking all of those up. Next up is a brand. It is newer to me, but I'm now picking up in everything. It is AYR, which I learned stands for all year round. This is a fantastic brand. In my opinion, kind of similar to like Frank and Eileen, where they sell very minimalist, like basic staple capsule wardrobe pieces, but they have a really great following and people love them. These are a pair of silk blend pants. And we picked these up for over $5 and we sold them on Poshmark for $45. I have sold, there's like I can't remember the name, but there's a specific type of shirt that I think I sold for like close to $70 pre-owned. So definitely a brand you want to look for. And if you can, try to find the style name of them. This is a newer brand to me as well. Not a brand that sells for a ton, but has a very, very, very high sell-through rate. So if you can get it for cheap enough, it'll flip for you really quickly. This is Cricket. It is a men's like golf polo, and they're made out of organic cotton. They're designed in Texas, so they seem to be performing really well. Very high sell-through rate, very kind of thin material, so if I came across it at a rack, I might not know to get it, and I wanted to share that with you. They only go for about $20 to $25, but they should sell super quick. I only paid $2 for this, and it sold for $22. Next up is an item that I paid quite a bit for, but I'm glad I did because it ended up being a really great flip. This is Timberland, which if you guys didn't know, Timberland as a footwear company sells like really high-end stuff, really high quality leather, waterproof stuff, and I think just about any Timberland pair of footwear performs really well. I think that's a brand a lot of people pass on, but if you can find especially their newer pieces like this one was, you can really make some good money on it. These are really high quality leather Timberland boots, and these were like a lace up like calf high, mid calf to knee high pair of boots. They had a few like marks throughout the leather. I wasn't sure if it was manufactured that way. I don't think it was. I think it had some marks, but still got them anyways. I paid $25 for these, which is a lot, but I knew that they'd sell pretty quickly, and we ended up getting $95 for them on Poshmark. So 25 and a 95 is a great return on investment. And I kind of look at paying up for stuff as, instead of having to list like 3 to 4 items, now I only have to list 1 and get my money back. So as long as the data is there and I know that they're going to sell quickly, I'm comfortable paying up for items. This is a fantastic footwear brand to be on the lookout for, especially in the newer styles. Next up is a Free People item. I haven't been showing a lot of Free People stuff lately, but I actually have a few today, just because I know there's a lot of talk in the reseller community that Free People just doesn't move anymore, which I would have to agree that most stuff doesn't, but there are a few categories that perform really well still in Free People, and maxi midi length dresses are one of those, and then the longer jumpsuits. So keep your eye out for that. This is a Free People satin dress. It was really gorgeous, so I knew it was going to do well. We paid $4.99. I think we originally listed for $60, and it sold for $50 on Poshmark. Here's a very interesting Free People item. Nikki actually found this. I normally don't look at Free People tops anymore unless we're picking them up at a discounted rate. She found this for $4.99, which is full price at a Goodwill for us. It was a size extra small. It appears to be an older label, but there was just something about it, right? Like, it's super unique. It's got denim mixed with a lacy type material. So really interesting top. After doing some research, it actually ended up being a really good flip. We paid $4.99 and listed it for around $40 on Poshmark. We sold it very quickly, actually, at $34. I was really surprised by that. So there are still some pieces out there that can perform well. And so after this sale, I'm definitely going to pay more attention to the extremely wacky Free People tops. Here is an Anthropologie brand. It is Maeve. It is personally one of my favorite Anthropologie brands to sell. But I wanted to show you guys this just because it is a midi skirt, and midi skirts are performing really well, especially in Anthropologie. So if you're someone like me who skips skirts usually, I've been paying a little bit more attention in that category just to the midi maxi length dresses. This one I actually got in wholesale, paid just over $5 for it. It sold for $34 on Poshmark. Yeah, midi maxi length skirts are something I'm on the hunt for now. They seem to be performing well. This is a scrubs brand that I talk about pretty often. It is Figs. I pick up pretty much everything Figs. It performs extremely well for us. This is called the Rafaela Scrub Top, and it was a size extra large. And I just learned from the newest member of our team, Marley, that this is actually called a surgical green. So we are going to be on the hunt now for this, for this color, and make sure to put surgical green in the title, because apparently that's something that people that buy Figs look for. So I wanted to share that with you guys. We paid $4.99. It sold for $25 on Posh. $25 is about the mark to get Figs to sell really quickly. Here's that other Adidas piece, and again, I do believe I got this from that same person. I paid $5 for it. It is an Adidas Originals Danielle Cathari track top. I think Nikki figured this out by a Google lens, but really cool. Again, wacky color blocking. So from now on, I'm going to be on the hunt for that. We listed it for around $65, I think, on Poshmark, and we accepted an offer of $50. This is a Lululemon item. They are called the Groove Yoga Pants. Just a reminder, Lululemon skinny leggings right now aren't performing very well for me. I don't know how they're doing for you, but where it's at in Lululemon right now are the boot cut, the wide leg, the flare, and just about any athletic wear brand. So if you're coming across flare, boot cut, definitely worth looking up. These ones sold for $35 and we paid $4.89. Here's another Talbot's dress. This is a size 14, so a little bit of a larger size. Again, with Talbot's dresses, The larger sizes, the better for us. This was super Barbie core, and you'll see we use that keyword down here with that movie about to come out. The color pink's been performing really well for us. We paid $4.99 and it sold for $40. Next up is a Calypso St. Barth item. This one was a size 1, which is a 1X, and plus sizes in this brand perform really well, and this is a gorgeous top. I paid just over $5 for this, and we sold it for $35 on Poshmark, so maybe a brand you want to be on the hunt for, especially in larger sizes. Okay, this next one is definitely a Bolo brand, and like, look at this hoodie. If you came across this at a thrift store, would you think to look at it? Like, to me, it looks like a DIY tie-dye hoodie, but this is Aviator Nation. You guys should look up this brand. Is a very nice, like, good following brand, and just about anything in this brand sells for me. This is a size extra small tie-dye hoodie. These tie-dye hoodies are performing extremely well. This one was a women's size. We paid $4.99 for it, and it sold for $69 on Poshmark. That is a crazy return on investment. And I don't know if you guys can tell. I don't know if we have yeah, we do. Here's a close-up photo of their little logo. But definitely 100% a brand worth getting. But again, very unassuming. If you didn't know it, you'd probably would be passing on it. Here's a vintage t-shirt sale. This is a vintage 1995 Fruit of the Loom Men's Indians graphic t-shirt. Also a size extra large and in pretty decent condition with just slight fading. We paid $4.89 for this, and it sold for $41. This is a perfect example of the kinds of things we like to pick up in vintage t-shirts. And I think it was also single stitch. So pretty awesome sale there. I personally love picking up vintage graphic t-shirts. T-shirts are so easy to list. And there's definitely nostalgia wrapped up into a lot of graphic t-shirts, so people buy them really quickly. Here's another Lululemon item. This is another category in Lululemon I will still get. They are their like jackets and hoodies. This is a size 8, and it was called the Nulu Cropped Define jacket. We paid $4.99. Apparently this is a more rare style, and we sold it for $90, which is crazy. And there was even some discoloration throughout. Reason I bring this one up is because you really, with Lululemon, want to figure out the style name, because if you just look up Lululemon women's zip athletic jacket size 8, you're going to get like a big array of comps. And it wasn't until we figure out what the style name was for this that we knew we could price it very high. I probably would have priced this for like $35 if we didn't know the style name. So, do your best with looking up style names with Lululemon, because you could be passing on some money. Next up is a brand I like picking up in midi to maxi length dresses. It is Chico's. This is a Chico's size 2 maxi dress, and this one was new with tags. I find that pretty much any size Chico's, as long as it's midi to maxi length, performs really well for us. We paid $12.99 for this because it was new with tags, and we sold it for $45. Next up is a brand I'm very picky with. It is Offline by Aerie. These were a size large long, but I got these because they are a faux leather looking legging. So any kind of like faux leather legging, metallic legging, those seem to be performing really well in just about any brand. So it is a way to kind of factor stack brands that you wouldn't normally get. So just keep that in mind. Faux leather leggings seem to be performing pretty well. I paid $4.99. This one sold for $25. And last item, and just to round out kind of the novelty prints, this is a novelty print sweater. It is a Lewin Gray for Loft star sweater. And I think this sold just because we were close to like Memorial Day and July 4th, but it sold for $24. We paid $4.89, but this is another example of a novelty print item that we would get and that I suggest you be on the lookout for.
Alright guys, so that's it for what sold last week. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching. If you're not already and you would like to be, don't forget to subscribe down below and hit that notification bell. If you do that, you'll be notified every single time I post new content. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.